America, education is not enough, especially for us as African Americans. You also need to have access to the economy. And so as I'm now going from elementary school to middle school to high school, I started to actually think about, well, what is access to the economy? Why did they live in that great house? And their father is a contractor, but owns his own contracting business. And yet down the street, I had a friend, his father worked for a contractor, but didn't own his own contracting business. They lived near us. And when I looked at that, I said, part of what has to happen, and in my mind was I wanted to become a business owner. And that was early on. So literally, I started my first business when I was probably 9 or 10 years old. I was selling golf balls and I, cut grass. I did all those sorts of things because the fact of the matter is I actually didn't like wearing my brother's clothes until I was 14 years old. I wore hand-me-downs basically into that period of time. And I don't know if any of you have experienced that, but kids can be cruel in some respects, but part of that also hardens you to help you understand and help you to reach some of your goals. And part of my goal was to be part of an economic class in America where I could buy my own clothes, the ones I wanted, and buy the shoes that I wanted, and go the places I wanted. And one of the advantages of, again, having parents who wanted me to read and forced me to read, I got a chance to read a number of things. And one of the things that inspired me early in my life was actually, believe it or not, the James Bond novels. Because as I read them, they took me and transported me to places that I had no idea actually really existed. And if you've ever seen any of those movies, they characterize them in these movies. And I was like, wow, this is pretty terrific. I want to figure out a way to actually get to that place. Sponsors of Robert Smith's career only did so after I demonstrated that I'm willing to make the commitment to my career. It's a two-way street. It's not just, here's, the person you're going to sponsor, make sure that they get on good deals. No, it is, they see you in the office, you're grinding 100 hours, you're getting it done, you're making sure there's no mistakes, and if there is a mistake, you correct it. You're following up, you're reaching outside of your knowledge to go learn more. When you do that, sponsors are more than happy to then take credit for you. Okay, and that has been my experience, but it has all come through. You gotta demonstrate that that's who you are and that's your priority. If it's Friday night and it's 5 o'clock, your sponsor seeing you leaving because you got, happy hour with your boys. Well, guess what? And they're there. You got to be conscious of that sort of stuff. Okay, I like when they come back in on Saturday because they did come back in. I'm wearing the same thing I wore Friday night, right? Okay, this guy's dedicated to his craft. And so when this deal happens, they're happy to stand up in front of the managing principal of the firm at that time to say, hey, Robert did this work. You see what I mean? So it's a two-way street. And sponsors, again, I have the opportunity, and I do in my firm, and build and develop people. But when we do our reviews, part of what we're looking at, you have that kind of grit and you dedicated to this craft. This is not a lifestyle business. And if you want to make it a lifestyle business, this is the wrong business to be in. Okay? So that's, in the world I live in, that's something we think about and we talk about in that context. That's just the nature of it. So we look for, again, I will sponsor those, and my folks now who have not grown up with me in this business, I sponsor them because I saw them putting that level of effort and energy in 15 years ago. And guess what? They still do it today. The important thing about running your own race is dreaming big. And here I'm called back to my childhood when I was just starting elementary school. At that point in time, the Supreme Court had just ruled that public school districts could pursue desegregation by using forced busing to achieve racial balance in their schools. In fact, I started my own education as a first grader being bused to a school across town, even though my father was a principal at a school 5 blocks away. Although I was a live subject in one of the nation's most controversial legal debates, I frankly didn't know what the big deal was all about, because these kids who didn't look like me sure acted just like me. But desegregation was a big deal to my parents, and leaders of their generations knew that great change was in store, and it was the right thing to do. And they often met with resistance, and often violent resistance. But because of their struggle, their sacrifice, I received a great gift. And that's the gift to dream big.